Last December, our family went on a road trip all the way to Australia. Adelaide. Where did I say Australia? Adelaide. As we immigrated less than 3 years ago, we are still have this urge of exploring the country. And along our way to Adelaide, we had many destinations, but obviously the Great Ocean Road and the 12 Apostles were one of those destinations we stopped and really were just taken aback by the beauty of Australia and all the nature wonders. It was just such a privilege. But we were really, really disappointed because we were could only see 8 of the 12 Apostles. It was really bad. I'm still looking for the 4 that's missing. I don't know. No, I'm just joking. We knew beforehand that there were only 8 left, and from my research, there were never 12. And maybe you can help me. But there's one that went missing in 2005, collapsed in 2005. And I just want to know, is there anyone here that had the privilege of actually seeing the 9th one still standing, seeing 9 of the 12 apostles, who, by the raise of your hands, who've seen it? Lucky you. You are eyewitnesses of a beauty that none of us will have the privilege of seeing. Did you still have some photos of that? Can you remember? Anybody having a photo of the 9 apostles? Nobody? Yeah, there's one. Thanks, Trevor. And you can tell us about it. You can show us some pictures. But that's all. None of us will have the privilege of seeing the 9. But I've got a few internet pictures. There's 9, and this is what it looks now. So I can go back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth. Can you see the difference? There's the 9, and there's the 8. But maybe it will help you if I am sharing you the African version of a limestone spectacle. The Finger of God in Namibia. And this picture has been taken by my dad, I think more than 40 years ago, in Namibia, the neighboring country of South Africa. And I think it is our family there, luckily not a good picture of us. But I just want to ask the same question. Who in this congregation at the moment had the privilege of seeing the finger of God, or the finger rock as we called it? Anybody, the raise of your hands? Look at that. Yeah, my sister must also raise a hand because we were there when we took that picture. And even us got the same privilege. We can't show you that majestic limestone anymore because in 1988, as it said there, it collapsed. So it's long by. It's a beautiful, majestic piece of art that's long by. And we here, 5 of us, are eyewitnesses of that beauty, but it can't be shown. I can't take you there anymore. And that was the dilemma of the first generation believers in the church. Because this was the transition time of people seeing Jesus, eyewitnessing Jesus, and the next generation that haven't seen him at all. And he's gone. He went up into heaven. And that's the dilemma. And the problem for the church is, what will we do now? Just put yourself in that situation of a church that only knows people seeing Jesus, preaching from their pulpits or wherever they preach from. And they can say, so when we and Jesus walked there, and then Jesus did that, and now that people are passing away, and what can we do now? How can we preach without first-hand knowledge of Jesus? How can we convince people about Jesus and His love and His majesty and who He was? What can we do? And will the church survive the second generation believers? That's the reason why Peter is writing his letters. And Kevin really helped us last week by showing us how Peter tried to instruct people to grow in their faith, how to strengthen their faith, so that the church can survive this transformation phase of from first generation believers to second generation believers. In a way, today we are asking the same question, maybe not in the same way or instant or dramatic way, but it's also a post-COVID time. And we are all experiencing churches struggling to keep their doors open. And I'm still very connected to churches back in South Africa, and they are really struggling to keep their doors open. Because COVID bring up a new opportunity of working from home, and a lot of companies are also struggling with getting people back into office. But we have got this whole idea of churching from home now, and churches is more than ever equipped to do live streaming and online sermons. And it's not a sin and it's not an issue, but it is a transformation for the church. And ministers say, yeah, it is different. And it is okay, but it is a transformation phase. And will the church survive this transformation? What will happen? There's a lot of churches closing their doors. What can we do? And the thing about online churching or churching from home is that the false prophets is alive and well, because anyone can reach anyone now with online sermons. And how do we survive this? And how do we keep our faith and discern between right and wrong? We're even more exposed. If only we could see for ourselves. If only we could be eyewitnesses of His Majesty, as Peter said in verse 16. If we can have that authority of saying, I've seen it. I've seen the finger of God. I can tell you it was great. I've seen the 9th apostle. I've seen Jesus. I can tell, trust me. I'm telling the truth. First-hand witnesses, eyewitnesses of His Majesty, if only. Theologian Leonard Sweet wrote a book, Soul Tsunami, and in this book he said, Jesus is not a principle, He's a person. He's not a proposition, He's a presence. But the problem with believers and us as well is that sometimes we think God worked way back in time, in the Bible time, and everything is written in the Bible. God created way back. And sometime in the future, He will come and judge. But in a way, in the present, He's missing. He's not really working. And it's our duty is then to study what God did way back, as been written in the Bible, pray to God that is in heaven, and prepare ourselves for the day of judgment. That is what we need to do. That is what Christianity is all about. But we are forgetting that He's a presence here today with us, with everyone, actively working and teaching and directing and instructing and creating. A lot of theologians has written on the idea that the church don't believe in the 8th day. And what they mean by that is, so God created the world in 6 days, and in the 7th day he rested. And that's the end of the story. That's where the story ends, on the 7th day. But what about the 8th day? Actually, everything is just starting. It's just the start of the story. So maybe the story is, and so God rested on the 7th day, and it was also good, and it was the evening and the morning, and the next day, the 8th day, God did what? What did he do? Did he keep resting way back in heaven, waiting out the time till Judgment Day? And maybe now and again he'll shake the world to alignment by natural disasters. But because that's what people believe. That's actually how you can understand God's involvement here on earth, aligning us with natural disasters. No, God did stay with us on the 8th day, and he kept creating and directing and restoring and healing and sharing our lives, our day, our world. Paul said to the people in Athens in Acts 17, he is not far from any of us, for in him we live and move and have our being. So the truth is, actually, we can be eyewitnesses of His Majesty. We are actually eyewitnesses of His Majesty every day, every moment. But for that we need to open our eyes. We can't be eyewitnesses with closed eyes. We have to be aware. For the church to survive this, we need to be wide awake, opened eyes, constantly aware believers. And there's 2 passages in 1 Peter, in the first letter of Peter, that is using this word, be alert, be aware, be alert. The first is in 1 Peter 1 verse 13. I read it. Therefore, with minds that are alert and fully sober, set your hope on the grace to be brought to you when Jesus Christ is revealed at his coming. And an even more well-known verse in 1 Peter 5 verse 8, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. That is the first letter. Twice he's saying, be alert, be wide awake, be aware. Wake up. Because when we've got wake up Christians, or alert Christians, false prophecy is no threat anymore. Because you can see for yourself. You can be an eyewitness of the majesty of Jesus. And whenever you are feeling unsure or a bit confused, just remember what happened with John the Baptist. John the Baptist, at the end of his life, and Jesus was calling John the Baptist the greatest person ever alive, from Jesus' words himself. Even John the Baptist, at the end, while in prison, he was doubting Jesus. And he was sending his disciples to Jesus and asking him, are you the Messiah or not? Are you really the truth? And what did Jesus say to him? Go back and report to John what you have heard and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is proclaimed to the poor. And later on, even to help us more in Matthew, Jesus said, make a tree good and its fruit will be good. Make a tree bad and its fruit will be bad. For a tree is recognized by its fruit. The false prophet teachings will not stand the test of time. We just need to wait it out. In the moment of confusion, when you don't know what is right and what is wrong, wait and look and search for the warmth. To determine the difference between right and wrong, wait for the warmth. Because it is the warmth of the love of the Lord that will prevail and will show you what's right and wrong. That is the light Peter is talking about, that will draw us to him, that will help us discern. If we can just wait for that warmth to come to our hearts, the warmth that's in us when we see the goodness and the beauty around us, when we are witnessing the majesty of Jesus. And what's even better is that this light Peter is talking about is not a candle, but a better way to describe it is more like the sun. To be an eyewitness of His Majesty is like spotting the sun, is as easy as spotting the sun. Because God, through the ancient of times, is always coming to us. The direction is from Him to us. He's coming to us. He's showing Himself. He's revealing Himself. He's choosing us. Before we can choose, He has chosen us. He is the sun of righteousness shining upon us with all the warmth and all the energy and all the power that we need. To not see this is like closing our eyes, shutting down, ignoring, denying, because it's all around us. And in this week, when you go out in this chilly wind and winter, and the sun is just warming you in a corner or unexpectedly, remember, He's revealing Himself to us. He will show us. We can be eyewitnesses of His Majesty. Therefore, the church did survive the first transformation from first generation to second generation. And it will survive this time as well, as it did the past 2,000 years. Because God is with us. His warmth is always around us. And may you feel this warmth. And may you share this warmth very cautiously with people around you, closing their eyes in denial and slowly enticing them to cautiously open their eyes to His Majesty. Amen.